holy crap, do I love this plot. Again, the dream is to love both. Longest intro ever, Jesus Christ. Well, hello, welcome back to my channel. Joshana here to talk about some friggin' books. And I wanted to talk about something that I have really realized about myself in recent months, and it's just been solidified for sure. It really got solidified for me reading Silver Under Nightfall, which is a book that I didn't end up loving like I wanted to, and I'm unhauling it. I'm not going to keep a copy of it, and I'm not going to continue with the series. But in reading that, it really solidified for me finally how I feel about like plot versus characters, right? Like you get that question a lot on like tag videos and stuff, like which do you prefer, having a plot you love or characters you love, right? Are you a character-driven reader or a plot-driven reader? And I've always been kind of like, I mean, like both, I think. I don't know. And like I love to love characters. Like I think I've always been kind of wishy-washy about my answer for that, if memory serves me correctly. And I might have even said characters at some point. Because like, yeah, duh. To read a book and just love the characters is great. And ideally, the dream is to love both. Finding a book where the plot is fun, engaging, interesting, compelling, whatever, you're just fucking jazzed for the plot and the world. Like for me, like that's what I kind of am putting in with like plot, is like the story, including the world and like the lore, the mythology, whatever, if it's fantasy. Like the dream is to love all of that and love the characters. Like the Legends of the First Empire series is probably the closest to like loving both that I feel. And with that, it's more like the world as in like the lore and the history that I love. And the plot's cool too. I do enjoy the plot. And then the characters, man, I really like the characters. So that is probably the closest to like, God, I am obsessed with both things. And of course there's others too that I'm sure I could like think of right now. But reading Silver Under Nightfall, I really liked those characters. Like I was getting to like, I kind of love these characters and would want to follow these characters. But man, the plot was just not it for me. And that even like the world was cool too. The world was interesting and like what was going on and the politics and everything. And the mythology, the lore, whatever. Cool, great, grand, wonderful. But man, just the plot felt meandering and like random. I wasn't engaged in it. I did not care about it. And so ultimately, even though I really like those characters, I'm like, I don't think I care to continue. You know, I wish these characters were in a different book. And that just really solidified it for me. That again, of course, ideally, I would enjoy both elements of a book, of a series. But I can get past not loving characters. And so I have a list of books here where it's plot/world over characters. Books that I really, really enjoy. Some of my favorites, but where like I'm kind of like whatever about the characters. I'm like, yeah, they're cool, and like maybe a couple of them I really like, but overall, they're just kind of like whatever. They could be better. I could like the characters more. None of them feel like, oh, my babies, you know? None of them would really be on my like favorite characters of all time list necessarily. But man, I love the world. I love the plot. I love the lore. I love the mythology. I love what's going on in this story. I love the story being told, you know? So that's what we're doing today. Longest intro ever, Jesus Christ. One was a recent reread, the first two books in the series. I still have to get to the third one. And that is The Bells by Danielle Clayton. I thoroughly enjoy this world, and I thoroughly enjoy the story being told. And yeah, the characters, they're cool. They're fine. Like Camellia in particular, the main character, I dig her. I don't dislike her. But I would not put her on like a top 10 favorite characters list. I don't even know if I'd put her in like a top 15 or 20. Probably. She's cool. She's fine. And I still really, really enjoy this series. Like if I like the finale, the third book, I will be purchasing the whole set in the matching, because the third one got published by a different publisher. Whatever. It's neither here nor there. Like, I would want to keep the series to, like, reread again at some point in the future because I just like the story and I love the world. There's teacup fucking animals. It's so cute. Oh my God. But also very dark. It's a great villain. One of my top 10 villains of all time, for sure. But yeah, that's one. Another recent reread of the first 3 books and then finally reading the 4th book is the Cemetery of Forgotten Books series. Now, to be fair, there is one character in here who is probably one of my faves of all time upon reread. Fermin. I love Fermin. But he's not like the main character all the time. Like, there's a whole book where he's like not really in it at all. There's 2. Well, that one he's kind of, whatever. He's there, he's throughout the whole thing, but like, he's not necessarily always at the forefront. We're not always following Fermin, right? But god dang, I love this story. I love this story, and I love the writing. I love the atmosphere of the world. I love all of it. Oh my God, it's so compelling. It's so engaging. It's so interesting. So fucking complex, where I'm just like, I was taking notes while reading through it, and I'm like, I need to reread it again right now and take more notes because there's still things that I'm like, wait, what? Like the threads of everything tying together. Oh, so good. And like I said, I love Fermin, and like Daniel Sempere, like he's cool too. I like him. I do love Fermin, but he's not why I love it, you know? This one is kind of weird because, again, there are characters that I really, really, really like, but the main character, and it's like over time, I've read this so many fucking times. Yes, City of Girls. I've read it so many times, and like I feel an affinity to the main character in the latter half of her life. Like, I feel like a lot of similarities and stuff, but like ultimately, like I don't like love her character necessarily. Again, that's not why I love this book. I don't love this book because of the characters. Aunt Peg is one of my faves. Again, just over time of like rereading it and like getting to know her more and like how fucking funny she is. But that's not why I love the story. I love the story because of the writing, because of the authorial voice, because of the messaging and how things are worded, where I'm like, oh yes, that is that feeling. And you described it perfectly. Oh my God. And yeah, just the story being told, the message that we are being told throughout. That is why, and again, just the way it's being told. This is one where I'm like, the writing is why I love this so fucking much. And then The Judas Blossom by Stephen Arion. I said this when I read it. I'm very intrigued to continue with this story. And like when I finished it, like there was no like, am I gonna continue or not? Like a lot of times when I finish a first book in a new series, I'm kind of like, will I or won't I? I don't know. Like if it's like a 3 to 3.75 star read, it's kind of usually in the middle zone. But this one, I was like, no, I'm definitely gonna continue because while I liked the characters, I didn't dislike them. I wasn't like annoyed by the characters, but I wasn't obsessed with any of them per se. I wasn't reading it like, oh, my babies, I'm rooting for them. I was like, oh, they're cool, all right. But the story being told, the plot, oh man, and like especially towards the end, I got hooked. I'm like, I gotta know what happens in this story. And luckily I enjoy the characters, but I'm not reading it for them, you know? Like, I'm reading it to see what happens in this world and in this story. And then we have the Burning Kingdoms trilogy by Tasha Suri. Book 3 is still not out yet. Book 1 and 2, though, I like these characters. Again, I like them. And I have, like, a favorite character out of the characters in the book. But, once again, I'm not reading it for the characters by any means at all. Especially the first time I read this one, I was like, yeah, the characters are whatever, they're fine. But man, the magic, the mythology, the lore, the politics, what's going on in the plot, what's going on in the story, ooh, top notch. Love it. Love it. And again, I like the characters, but I'm not reading it for the characters at all. And last, but 100% not least, The Final Strife by Sara El Arifi. I like Hassa is my favorite of the characters, and I do really like Hassa, especially in the second book. I'm just like, oh yeah, I love Hassa. Like, everyone needs a Hassa in their life. But the other two main characters, one of them is kind of annoying a lot, and I mean, she's supposed to be, but man, oh, she's annoying. And then the other one, I'm just like, yeah, you're cool. Like, again, don't have a problem with you. I don't dislike you. You're not annoying. You're just kind of there. And that's fine, because holy crap, do I love this plot and this world and the lore and the history and the mythology and just all the things we're learning and the reveals and all the threads tying together. Oh my God, I eat it the fuck up. I cannot even tell you how much I love it. And it's very much not the characters. Like, again, in the second book, it really solidified, like, no, I actually do really like Hassa, and she's by far my favorite of the three main characters. But even her, I'm like, would she be in a top 10 list? I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know. By the third book, maybe. This is another one. It's going to be a trilogy, but the third book isn't out yet. But man, I don't really care if I love Hassa in the third book. Like, I don't care. I am just here for the story, for the plot, for learning more about this world. I love it so much. And of course, there are plenty of others that I'm sure I could think of because, like I said, I've just realized about myself, more often than not, books that I love, it's usually just because of the plot or the writing, honestly. Like the Lady Hardcastle series, those, I do love the characters and I love the writing style. The plot is very formulaic. Each book, it's, you know, historical, cozy mystery. Like, there's gonna be a murder and we're gonna figure out what happens. I don't really care about the plot. Like, I don't read those for the plot at all. Like, so there's exceptions to the rule, and there are other ones. What's another exception to the rule? The Parasol Protectorate series. Those, the plot is fun. I like the plot of those books. Like, it's cool, it's fun, it's exciting. But, like, especially, I mean, the first book, because I've reread it a few times, like, I could give you more details about the plot, like what happens. The rest of them, though, I don't think I could tell you what the actual plots are. I just love those characters. Like, Alexia Terabati is one of my favorite characters of all time. Like, if not the favorite character of all time. Like, I love her. So there are exceptions to the rule, of course, but more often than not, if I love a book, if I love a series, it's because of the world and the plot. I'm interested in that more than the characters. So yeah, I just figured I would talk about a few examples of that. What are you in this regard? What do you lean more towards? Like, can you have a favorite where you don't love the characters, or do you have to love the characters for a book to be your favorite? You know, let me know. I'm very intrigued. Again, the dream is to love both. The dream is to love everything about it. The writing, the plot, the characters, all of that. But that, you know, doesn't happen as often as we would like. Like, comment, and subscribe, of course, if you feel so inclined and you have not already. Leave an emoji if you just want to say hey, but you don't really have anything further to add. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.